Hey, this is Ron Coddington from Military Images Magazine, here with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Our subject today is based on the culmination of a week and a half that I've spent editing a collection of 42 profiles of Union soldiers who volunteered from the state of Iowa, the Hawkeye State, from 1861 to 1865. I've long wanted to do a gallery of images and stories, faces and stories of Iowa soldiers in the magazine. And thanks to Mike Houston, who has been a wonderful partner, along with Bob Welch and a number of collectors, to bring these unique portraits to Military Images Magazine, which we will do in our winter issue. We've all been hard at work researching, writing, collecting the images, and all that you have to do to create a gallery of this proportion. So we currently have about 42 images in the gallery. I think we might add another one or two. But the last week and a half has been really quite fascinating as I've been reading the profiles and getting to get a better sense of the contributions of Hawkeye State soldiers. And when it was all done, when I was finished this morning with the last profile, I sort of started thinking about what I learned about Iowa as I was going through this experience. And a couple of things came to mind, and I thought I would mention them here. One of them is something I don't think quite so much about, is that Iowa is really on the edge of the frontier in 1861. If you take the state and split it into the western half and the eastern half, that eastern half is riding along the Mississippi River, and you've got a bunch of towns and cities that are beginning to grow and develop. And those towns are pretty well developed. The population in the eastern part of the state is definitely growing. And think about its neighbors, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, its near neighbors. They, of course, are a bit more mature. But Iowa is on the frontier. The western part of Iowa is not nearly as populated as the eastern half. And so it's with that backdrop of thinking of Iowa as being sort of the far west at that point. If you look at the way that the volunteers showed up and recruited regiments and quickly became involved after the bombardment of Fort Sumter all the way back east along the coast, there's practically no way to distinguish these Union volunteers in Iowa and faraway Iowa from anywhere else that I've experienced in the country. So it's really interesting for me to get a sense of how in this frontier area, you've got all these folks who just stand up because they want to do the patriotic thing and get involved to save the United States. So that's a big takeaway. The other big takeaway is how much of a melting pot Iowa is. And if you think of it, Iowa being a young state, very few Iowans were actually born in Iowa. Of the 42 individuals that we researched, only one can claim that they were born in Iowa. And that particular Iowan was the son of immigrants who came from Switzerland. So everyone else that is part of this project came from outside and settled in Iowa to make it home. Just a partial list from what I remember this morning. Illinois, Indiana, Maine, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then over in Europe, England, Germany, Hungary, Scotland. These folks from all over the country and all over Europe that are coming to Iowa. So Iowa is really something of a unique melting pot. I'm imagining folks from Illinois and Indiana, and a lot of these folks went through several states. They may have been born in Pennsylvania or Ohio, and then they go to Indiana, Illinois, gradually moving their way to Iowa. So it's really interesting how you have folks from all over the United States who wind up in Iowa. I can't think of any state that we've researched. Maybe Illinois comes closest, where you've got folks coming from all over the country. So I'm pretty excited about reading this collection of profiles, and it'll be published, as I've mentioned, in our winter issue. It'll be out in December. So we still have a lot of work to do. We have all the photographs, the profiles, as I mentioned, are now edited. We have some back and forth that we're going to do to be able to fine tune them, but we're in pretty good shape. There's also some other stories, Iowa specific stories, that we're going to be writing, and I'll talk more about them on a future video. So thank you very much for staying tuned. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for listening, and happy trails. Take care. Bye.